In my last recording, I mentioned that I would be doing a book review. The book I will be reviewing is titled Voelvry and subtitled Wat jy moet weet oor die toekoms van Suid-Afrika. Directly translated, this would be Free as a Bird and subtitled What You Need to Know About the Future of South Africa. Voelvry was written by Dr. Gerhard de Bruin. Although I have never met Gerhard in person, I've known him for a while now. Many of you will remember the 2 interviews I did with him on my channel a while ago. In fact, the transcript of those 2 interviews appears in his book. In short, Voelvry is a very honest, factual, and in some cases, sobering and chilling account of the situation in South Africa right now, where we are heading, and what the possible solutions to the problem could be. Firstly, let us discuss Dr. Gerhard and his credentials. In other words, what makes him qualified to write this book? From the rear cover of this book, I got the following. Note that I am translating it into English. Dr. Gerhard is a cognitive and behavioral scientist with a doctorate from the University of Pretoria. His field of interest is advanced cognitive technology as well as creative results-based thinking. Dr. Gerhard is a professional business strategist and international investor. He is the chairman of the Avis Libre network and encourages South Africans to immigrate financially and to set up structures, businesses, and investments internationally. As a side note, I might do a whole episode on the concept of immigrating financially, and I will see if I can get Dr. Gerhard back to this channel to give us a talk on the subject. As a general overview of the book, Dr. Gerhard has covered just about every factor that has and still is contributing to the current state of South Africa, as well as the factors that determine our destination should we keep on the path we are on now. One thing I noted while reading the book is that the book is not filled with opinions of Dr. Gerhard or anyone else. Every conclusion, prediction, and analysis is based on undeniable facts, figures, and historical data. In a nutshell, Dr. Gerhard has merely put all the data in front of the reader and shown us that unless something changes, we are heading for total catastrophe. Once you have read this book, you will have absolutely no choice but to face the facts, because facts and mathematics don't lie. Chapter 1 asks the question, is South Africa a sinking ship? In this chapter, Dr. Gerhard lays down all the factors that have contributed to our current situation. We are also introduced to Dr. Gerhard's specialty field, which is phenomenology. The way I understand it, phenomenology is the study of how people think and act when in groups, as opposed to as individuals. You would be amazed at how much the two differ from one another. Chapter 2 is titled The Symptoms of the Sickness. Here Dr. Gerhard discusses the signs we see everywhere, every day, and take no notice of or just totally ignore. It is quite interesting when these things are put in front of you in print. It is as plain as day, yet we overlook them, and worst of all, we have over time accepted it as some kind of normal, to our own detriment, of course. Chapter 3 is titled What Will South Africa's Future Look Like? In this chapter, Gerhard discusses the future and new technologies that are used to predict it. Here we get a slightly more in-depth introduction to the practice of phenomenology, Dr. Gerhard's speciality. When the facts are laid out in front of us, it is undeniable where we are headed. Anyone who argues these facts or tries to mitigate their importance is simply attempting to manipulate reality to suit their own agenda, and they will undeniably pay the price for it sooner or later. Chapter 4 deals with Africa's history as a determining factor of the future. This chapter is one of the most compelling and most ignored pieces of evidence available to us today as an indicator to where we are headed. Dr. Gerhard makes use of famous quotes throughout his book, quotes that have stood the test of time and have never been disproven. In fact, they galvanize these simple truths in human existence as constants to our very existence. The quote used for this chapter is one by Robert Kiyosaki, which states, "The surest way to predict the future is to learn from the past." This quote defines this chapter so well that no more explanation is necessary, in my opinion. Chapter 5. Average intelligence as a determining factor of the future. Chapter 5 deals with what is, in my opinion, the most contentious, yet has to be the most conclusive factor to prove that there is nothing that can be done to change the situation in South Africa unless we change the people running the show. I'd like to spend a little time on this chapter and what it says. In a nutshell, Dr. Gerhard says that the prosperity and therefore the GDP of a country is directly related to the average intelligence of the population living in that country. In this example, IQ is the determining factor. IQ measured in a Western medical sense, that is. I've heard many arguments on this topic. One of them being that there are many factors that contribute to our darker brothers and sisters scoring lower than the rest of us in this test. Among these arguments is culture and environment, etc. I'm not going to argue these points, but what I will say is even if we disregard what the so-called IQ test reveals and merely take the score number as a determining factor in a country's economic health and social welfare, there is a direct and undeniable relationship between the average score of the population and the GDP of a country, no matter how rich the country is in natural resources or minerals. There is simply no argument to this in my opinion. And by this fact alone, we are guaranteed to be a poor and battling country based solely on this one simple fact. The takeaway I got from this chapter was that the only reason this country was once a prosperous first world country was that the economy as well as the political control used to lay in the hands of a people who undeniably, on average, score much higher on this test, no matter what you call it. What we see happening now and over the last 25 years is nothing other than the country moving to the state it should be in based on the average score of the people who are now in control of the economy and the politics of South Africa. It is that simple. Chapter 6. The overwhelming determining factor. Chapter 6 discusses what is, in my opinion, the most underrated, or should I say the most ignored, and definitely the most sobering and scary factor of all, the population growth and demographics, as well as where that leaves us, the white minority, in the very near future. Unless you are 85 years old, this chapter should scare the crap out of you when you consider your own future, the future of your children, and their children. If it does not, you are either a liberal leftist denialist or just totally ignorant, in which case you are part of the problem. If nothing else, I urge everyone to read this chapter. Dr. Gerhard shares statistics, graphs, and information from undisputable sources that leave no room for argument whatsoever. In short, if we don't do anything to change our own destinies right now, we are doomed. Yes, even those who have very rosy lives right now, you and I are doomed, believe me. I will say no more. Please get and read this book. Chapter 7. What solutions are there? As the name implies, Dr. Gerhard goes into great depths to study the various ways in which we, a very small minority in an extremely hostile country, can survive. The methods he discusses here include a number of things I have discussed on this channel before, so it should be nothing new to many of you. They include our separation from the financial system, the use of cryptocurrencies, and the congregation of us minorities into what he terms enclaves. This is an extremely important chapter and should be read more than once to grasp its value to assuring our own survival here on the tip of the African continent. Chapter 8. The End of Western Civilization in Africa. In Chapter 8, Dr. Gerhard discusses the sad and very sobering thought that we are literally facing the end of Western civilization on the African continent. He makes use of verifiable and reputable data and graphically proves his case. In conclusion, Dr. Gerhard has gone to great lengths to give us a factual and indisputable account of the situation we find ourselves in and offer some methods we might use to insulate ourselves from the inevitable. And the inevitable, in my opinion, is too frightening to contemplate once you have all the facts at your disposal. My takeaway from this book, despite all the factual evidence and in-your-face proof, is that unless we, the minorities, particularly the white minorities in this country, take drastic and immediate steps to ensure our own existence here, we are guaranteed to quite literally disappear within just a few years. This is not an exaggeration and will happen without a single battle taking place and without a civil war. All we have to do is more of what we have been doing, and that is nothing. Now that is the most sobering fact of all. If you think I am exaggerating, I urge you to read the book. Unfortunately, or fortunately, mathematics does not lie. One other thing I would like to add, and this is purely my own opinion, is this. If we want to survive on this continent at all, never mind prospering, there is only one way we are going to achieve it, and that is to become independent of South Africa. Unless we can govern ourselves, live under a justice system that actually works, and most importantly, form our own defense force legally to protect us from the attacks that will surely come, there is very little to no chance of preventing the inevitable. We need to be totally independent. Small enclaves, such as Dr. Gerhard proposes, are a good thing and will serve their purpose of bringing our people together in numbers where they can concentrate and plan how they are going to gain their independence. The reason why nothing other than total independence will be good enough is simple. We have already seen how slowly the ANC government has undermined everything we stand for, broken down just about every resemblance of our history and our culture. They are now going after our possessions and our retirement funds because they are bankrupt and broken. The only things left to take now are our pensions and our possessions. Remember what the Democratic Revolution document said? Be careful not to take too much from the farmers at once, but take little by little. Wait until we are weak enough to offer no resistance and then pounce for the final kill. Believe me, people, we are at that stage now. With that said, I urge you to all join any of the secession movements except those driven by a political party such as the Cape Party. All they are looking to create is a miniature South Africa with all South Africa's problems. They can buy a little time for those living in the Cape and nothing else. If you would like to grab your own copy of Voelvry, all you have to do is go to the Avis Libre website at www.avis-libre, that is spelled libre.co.za, and order it there. I will leave a link in the description. Voelvry costs only 150 Rand, and I assure you that it will be the best 150 Rand you will ever spend. Specifically, if you consider that a bottle of cheap brandy for the braai on Saturday would probably cost you more. Add it to your cart and then click on the Make an Order button. When filling in your name, put these 3 capital letters between brackets after your name. SAA. That's capital SAA between brackets. By doing this, Dr. Gerhard, who fills his own orders, will know that you came from my channel. As full disclosure, a small percentage of all orders coming from my channel will go to my channel. Please remember to like and share this video on as many social media platforms as possible. It's the only way that my message gets out there. If you have not subscribed to my channel yet, do it now. To contribute to my channel, in the description field I have provided ways in which both local as well as international viewers can make contributions. To make a crypto contribution, also in the description field I have placed a Bitcoin as well as a Litecoin wallet address. If you would like to contribute any other crypto, simply shoot me an email to the email listed in the description field and I will supply you with the relevant wallet address. For those who are comfortable using Zapper, simply pause this video whenever you see the Zapper QR code and scan it. Any and all contributions will be greatly appreciated. To all the amazing people who do contribute to my channel, I say a huge thank you. You have no idea how much it means to me. Until next time, be safe out there.